the bill will be, but that's not true. Yet, Mr. Speaker, if the bill were to pass without the consent of the people, it will split the entire nation, and that's not what we want to see. Mr. Speaker, the President still has an opportunity to not put pen to paper. The Constitution clearly says that he has 14 days to assent to any bill that comes from Parliament, and he can still, right now, today, in this moment, decide not to sign this bill into ascension. Mr. Speaker, I just want to conclude so I can give other members a moment to also contribute, but to just say that young people are tired. Young people are exhausted. They don't have jobs. How would they have money to look for artillery and knives and guns? But still, we poured every single piece of armor on these young children yesterday, Mr. Speaker. And as a young person myself, I am disgusted, I am appalled, I am completely beside myself. And I want to conclude by saying that my heart goes out to the families and loved ones who have lost people yesterday. Mr. Speaker, I was disappointed to hear the President's speech yesterday. I'd hoped that more unity would have come from it, but there was no empathy for the pain that Kenya is feeling right now, Mr. Speaker. There was absolutely no sign of benevolence when he spoke, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would have hoped that the President would have come to unify, would have stood in that address and unified the nation, but instead he threatened. Instead he was glassy. Instead he was cold. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to comfort those in closing by saying that even though they cut our wings and tie our feet, still we will rise. Viva comrades.
This is the reason why the people feel currently as if this government is self-serving. I've had this list in my camera roll for 3 days, and because I'm not going for the protest, I decided, let me go through the list. I go through it comprehensively. I find the MPs who are the owners or who are affiliated with these businesses and the constituencies which they represent, because the people who they represent need to know, this money that we're giving them, we're going to support their businesses. They don't want to support us. They don't want to support our financial needs, even though we're giving money to their businesses. In the middle of making my list, I found this company called Amaco Insurance. It's an insurance company. And then I found this article. It's a very interesting article. And as you can see, these 3 companies listed, which are also on the boycott list, are linked to our Honorable President. They are linked to him either through his friends, through the First Lady, or his daughter, Charlene Ruto. And I'll tell you why I want to talk about these companies. Western Hotel, you can see the shareholders. Now let's pay attention to the last part, to the very last part. Government contracts bagged. Higher. Bags millions every year from conference facilities and accommodations paid for by government institutions. Amaco Insurance, that led me to this whole article. Bags millions every year from tenders to offer insurance cover for several counties and government institutions. The last one, Martini Limited, millions bagged from leasing of at least 170 apartments to police services. I'm not refuting the fact that the government probably needs these services, but the problem is that money is coming out of my pocket. The money is coming out of your pocket. So I have the right to question where the money is going. It's coming out of my pocket, it's coming out of your pocket, to go and pay people who are closely affiliated to the government, which makes it a bit easier for them to get a hold of these tenders. As the taxes go high, we have not seen any progress. The taxes did not start going high this year. They started last year. We have not seen any.
I just want to take you back to Kenya now and the capital, Nairobi, where there are dramatic scenes unfolding at the Parliament over the past few hours. These are pictures just coming into us from there, and this is after part of the Kenyan Parliament was set on fire following protesters opposed to new tax laws. Gunshots have also been heard in the capital, with reports of at least 1 person killed and dozens injured. But there's lots of different reports coming in about the numbers of dead and the numbers of casualties. Some of the protesters there, as you can see, coming in, those live pictures coming into us from Nairobi, from outside the Parliament. BBC reporters on the ground say they've seen 2 people with gunshot wounds arriving.
Now it's getting out of hand. They are inside. Finally, they are inside. They are inside. And I also have to run for my safety. I have to run for my safety. These rowdy youths are all over. The youths can steal. They are getting out of hand. Everything is getting out of hand. I don't know if we can manage this. Everything is getting out of hand. My goodness. Oh God. Woo. Jesus Christ. Wow. Oh God. Woo.
Kenya will never ever be the same again. They have changed their faith. There is a saying that goes, the moment we lose our fear, they lose power. Now, the Gen Zs of Kenya have lost their fear. They are not afraid of anybody again. Kenya will never ever be the same. Ruto has withdrawn the bill, but now the Gen Zs are not satisfied. They want more. They want the resignation of Ruto. They want him and his cabinet members to leave power. They don't want Ruto to be their president again. And also, the Gen Zs of Kenya are going to the house of every lawmaker that voted yes in favor of the bill, and they are dealing with them. They are burning their cars. On Saturday, one of the protesters that died during the protest, his funeral was taking place, and one of the MPs that voted yes in favor of the bill went to the funeral. When the youth saw him, they apprehended him. If not because of some timely interventions, it could have been a different scenario. And also, one of the politicians that voted yes in favor of the bill went and printed a t-shirt with his wife and wrote on it that he voted in favor, so he's sorry. He's now apologizing because he knows the moment of fear is over. So Kenya will never be the same again. The government knows anything they do and it does not sit well with them, they will riot again.
Private jet on fire. Kenya youth just set their president private jet on fire. Guys, now they see what they saw. Now they see what they see right now. The youth, they para. They vex that they are burning everything they see will belong to the government. They talk say, as long as the president of Kenya had the gut, the audacity to use public funds to hire another private jet of $1.5 million to go and visit Biden, the president of the United States, last 3 weeks, leaving Kenya private jet that he's supposed to use, he used public fund. Them also will be Jay-Z, will be the youth. They also have the power, they got to burn this private jet, this Kenya president private jet. Then it's Sam, they burn it. Not only this one, all the parliament members that voted yes of this finance bill, all the people that voted yes, that approved this finance bill, that they talk so, they go home by home, they burn all their properties, but they see all their cars, all their houses, all their investments, all their shops. They see, they go there, they loot everything, they burn them. I never see this kind of protest before. Even this one don't pass revolution. This one don't pass revolution. They steal the street. They destroy everything. They burn everything that belongs to the government. Their chairs. They enter into the parliament, their parliament house. They enter there. As you see them, they wear even the uniform that belongs to the parliament members. They wear them. They see them. These people know the joke, and they don't overpower the police and the military. Military don't do on their own, the police on their own, the government workers, all of them on their own. On their own, imagine Imagine what these people they do in Kenya. Like, I dey fear these people. I dey fear them. I don't remove cap for them. Hey, guys, don't be small thing they stop Kenya right now. Even Uganda has waiting for Kenya. They don't burn it down. They don't burn it down because the president of Uganda they support this route to the president of Kenya. He wants send troops go Kenya. Many his troops they support they help Kenya police and Kenya military. Now the youth will be the
Now it's getting out of hand. They are inside. Finally, they are inside. They are inside. And I also have to run for my safety. I have to run for my safety. These rowdy youths are all over. The youths can steal. They are getting out of hand. Everything is getting out of hand. I don't know if we can manage this. Everything is getting out of hand. My goodness. Oh God. Woo. Jesus Christ. Wow. Oh God. Woo.
Thank you very much, Speaker. When people were trying to distract him from his work, Mr. Speaker, Nehemiah said, I am doing a good work and I cannot come down. And that's what Gen Z are also saying to the executive and to members of parliament, that they are doing a good work, standing up, speaking for themselves and for their colleague young men and women who are out in the streets, Mr. Speaker, and they cannot come down. And neither should we in this Senate. How can we go on a recess? Why are we going on a recess? We have just come from a 3-week recess period, Speaker. Why do we need 2 more weeks to reflect? This is a house of reflection, and we have to do it while we're sitting in these seats and when we're speaking in these microphones. That's what we're here to do. Parliament stands to represent its people. Parliament, Mr. Speaker, does not close to run away from its people. I want to urge and persuade those who have not spoken yet to also concur in opposing this motion, not because of disrespect, but because of respect for the young men and women who have lost lives, who are now muted because they cannot speak due to yesterday's horrifying scenes. We can't go home. Are we trying to say that renovations of windows and offices are more important than speaking for bloodshed and lives lost yesterday? We cannot, Mr. Speaker. And I, as a young person, as the first young person speaking to this motion, as a youth in this House, I am speaking for the youth who are outside of this House. We cannot go on a recess. It is wrong, and it would be completely insensitive to do so. Mr. Speaker, darkness fears democracy. I rarely wake up in the morning wishing for my eyesight to be restored, but what a sight to be able to behold. This last week had me aching with desire to see my fellow youth in the most spectacular display of patriotism, camaraderie, and putting up a first-rate masterclass on demanding that governments be held to account for the entire world to see. And yes, they have seen. But unity, Mr. Speaker, has been violently gunned down in the streets, not by men, but by monsters who have no concern for human life. Although this government has demonstrated that lifeless Kenyan bodies are not to take precedence over their punitive finance bill, young Kenyans have looked their oppressor dead in the eye and shown them that when it comes down to the wire, there are only 2 times to be brave: when you feel like it and when you don't. my profound disappointment with the current government and its forceful assault on crowds of innocent youth, Speaker, by its nefarious police officers who have gone rogue on unarmed young citizens peacefully exercising their constitutional right towards an uncaring, corrupt, and wasteful government in their eyes that has turned its back on them cannot be emphasized enough, Speaker. The brute force used against young, unarmed protesters reveals the operating system built into the fabric of today's government. And when they kill us, Speaker, they're killing themselves. The arrogance from some of these top government officials has been outrageously condescending to young people, disgusting and reminiscent of narcissistic abuse. You call us wankers and clueless children of plunderers. Then you say you're proud of us for making our voices heard peacefully. Then abduct defenseless children using state machinery and escalate a peaceful demonstration of young people with phones, twigs, and water bottles in their hands into barbaric scenes of bloodshed. Young people, Mr. Speaker, were not out to kill. In fact, I was here on this premises yesterday when everything set off. And whilst I was separated from my security guard, Mr. Speaker, I also saw another member of parliament from the National Assembly who is a wheelchair user, who voted yes to the finance bill, also having been separated from his team and his aides and bodyguard. He was stranded, Mr. Speaker, couldn't run, couldn't hide in his wheelchair. And you know what happened when those kids entered this premises? 3 young boys saw this member of parliament who voted yes for the finance bill, and instead of reprimanding him, instead of reading him their minds, giving them a piece of their minds, you know what they did? They actually carried this member of parliament in his wheelchair to the tunnel so that he can go and seek refuge across in Bunge Towers. And then the 3 boys ran back and joined their fellow comrades. That's what happened. These kids don't operate in mendacity, Mr. Speaker. They are moral youth who are just trying to get their voices heard.
$1, 1 CD. In the time of Mills and Mahama, 2 CDs, $1. If I was them, I would say to the people of Ghana, I'm sorry. We are sorry for the poor work we have done. We're going to go and think about ourselves. But that is not the people we're dealing with. The fruits of office, the money under the table has become sweet for them, so they're determined to stay. Are we going to allow that to happen? Are we going to allow that to happen? In Kufuor's time, one of the people who advised and helped him develop a strong CD was my running mate, Mahamudu Bawumia. Then he was Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana. It's one of the reasons I brought him to come and join me, that we will work on the CD and create again a strong CD that will be able to allow us to develop our economy and allow our traders and our work to be able to develop.
What is the difference between the ordinary thief and a political thief? Number 1, the ordinary thief steals your money, your bag, your watch, and your jewelry, isn't it? But the political thief steals your future, your career, your education, your health, and your business. Number 2, the hilarious part is that the ordinary thief will choose whom to rob. But you are the one who choose the political thief to rob you. Because we choose them. We vote them. We blindly say we are not blind. Who is deceiving who? The ridiculous part of the whole issue is that we will fight to defend and protect our belongings from the ordinary thief. Is it not? But we fight each other to defend and protect the political thief. Is that not what we do? Thugs will be fighting themselves to protect those that are stealing our career, stealing our job, stealing our health, stealing our success. What a shame.
If you reach a certain stage in life and there is nobody who can look you in the eye and tell you the truth, you are doomed. And that is where our country has gotten to. We need to rescue this country. Wallahi. And I feel very terrible as a Ghanaian at this time. This country is in serious trouble, ladies and gentlemen. We are in serious trouble. We need to rescue this country, ladies and gentlemen. The presidency has been so depraved, so muddied, so dirtied, that I tell you in all sincerity as a Ghanaian, that I feel terribly sad today as a Ghanaian. We need to rescue this country. Wallahi. Inshallah.
Please don't cry.
We shall rescue our country. If you reach a certain stage in life,
government is broke. The people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Right, hello, good morning, and welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Well, it is a Wednesday, quite a wet Wednesday morning here in the capital. It's the 3rd day of July, 2024. By His grace, we're live and we're here. We're yet another edition of the show. Our gratitude will go to Most High God for the very privilege of being alive and, of course, the opportunity of having another conversation around the top stories making the rounds here in our dear Republic. I'll let you into our panel for the morning's conversation shortly, but let's take a look at the front pages of our newspapers. Daily Graphic. Achieving the SDGs. Extend debt relief to Africa. President Akufo-Addo tells development partners. Ambulances were not fit for purpose because Jakpa. GVC rolls out digital media structure. Stanchart posts 1.3 billion cedis profit before tax. Irregularities decline in latest Auditor General's reports. The Ghanaian Times. Accra begins major cleanup exercise. Regional Minister Gamanche Accra Mayor lead efforts to clean city of filth. Diligently scrutinize financial agreements and loans before approval. Asantini task Parliament. Admitting quarterly economic roundtable, stop announcing new taxes to increase revenue, rather improve efficiency in tax collection, Dr. Sowa. Let's prioritize human capital development towards attainment of SDGs. President appeals to African leaders. Daily Guide. 2.37 million euros ambulances not fit for purpose, Jakpa admits. SDGs Action Summit. Nana pushes for more youth investment. NDC MPs boycott vetting. EC reopens transfer of votes. Government launches 1.5 million cedis hydro fund. The New Crusading Guide. 2.37 million euros financial loss trial. First 10 ambulances were only meant to be packed. Jakpa. Government allocates 1.5 million cedis to tackle flood and drainage. Upon Nkrumah announces as it launches hydro fund. EC to reopen applications for vote transfer. Universities, prisons and media. Ministry of Health workers demand shake-up as saboteurs surround minister. Road safety improvement measures introduced. President Akufo-Addo's 4-point agenda to accelerate SDGs implementation. Keeping Accra clean. Gamanche Mayor lead onslaught against filth. The Insight. Galamsey, mining engineer says Akufo-Addo's approach to tackling men is wrong. Looting of state lands hits Supreme Court as Judicial Service sues AG and 2 others over sale of judges' bungalows. Scrapping Council of State for second chamber good idea. Political scientist backs Alan's proposal. Nungwa Stool signs MOU with Prestige Group to manage its landed properties. Colombian social movements reject U.S.-Colombia military exercises in Pacific Ocean. The Herald. Judicial Council boldly stands up to Akufo-Addo and Chief Justice, rejects additional Supreme Court judges. Stanchart Ghana announces dividend payout amid strong 2023 performance. NHI is on new trajectory under Da Costa Abuaji. Dubai company storms court next Thursday on ambulance case as JAPA reveals government elements damned accessories at Tema Port. Ho High Court sets 29th July for Ameu's judgment. Minister runs from witness box. The Informer. Citizens' despondency in democracy. Francis Poku raises red flag. Elections 2024. IMF warns Ghana against reckless expenditure. Grabbing of judges' bungalows. Attorney General, Lands Commission sued. Ramadan rice case. Court throws out Issa Seidu over ownership of Lele rice. Claim to celebrate Homowo campaign. Zoom Lion partners Gamanche, others to raid Accra filth. The Inquisitor. IGP consultative probe. Extrajudicial killings pop up as Highlands attack committee chairman. Gamanche, ministers, others clean Accra. Chairman Sabonsu, OK's DMB, NAPO combination. COSA calls for collaboration to solve urban mobility and accessibility challenges. Ghana Link wins huge at Ghana Shippers Awards. The Daily Statesman. President lays out solid plan to accelerate SDGs implementation. Minister urges joint effort on urban accessibility solutions. Works and Housing Minister launches Hydro Fund. Gamanche leads sanitation crusade in Accra. The Ghanaian Publisher. Government sets up hydrological fund to address drainage and dredging challenges. Gamanche ministers clean Accra. Finance Minister slams minorities and patriotic conduct. Financing gap threat to Africa's SDGs. President Akufo-Addo. The Accra Times. Quality of democracy is determined by Parliament. Bagbin. Information Minister briefs Parliament on RTI 2024 outlook. Gregory Afoko's family worried over GBA's hypocrisy and selective condemnation of human rights abuses, and yet to even acknowledge receipt of a petition by the family a year ago. Konkomba culture, a rich heritage worth preserving. Baomia's vape choice, the seasoned, solid and serious Dr. Poku Prempeh. The New Finder. 1.5 million cedis allocated to hydrological fund as seed money to mitigating flood risks, improving water management. Experts stress strict fiscal discipline to support economic recovery. President outlines 4-point agenda to accelerate SDGs implementation. Prosecution of persons behind financial sector mess too slow, Dr. Addison. Clocksack declares nationwide strike. Daily Post. Of 2024 election and vigilantism. Is Akufo-Addo planning another murder spree as happened in 2020? Military personnel are trained to shoot and kill. They must not be involved in election security. Chieftaincy Minister. Protecting the national purse from Akufo-Addo and his cronies. We cannot be silenced, says Ablakwa. You will lose our votes if you stick with arrogant Napo as running mate. Pro-NPP group caution Baumia. And that's about it for the front pages. We'll be back shortly.
Again.
Hello, thank you for calling MTN.
This is Jerry. Jolly J for short.
How may I help?
I'm not happy with you guys at all. You've been giving Bongo gifts all the time.
Who is Bongo?
Oh, Bongo, my friend. He purchased in my room.
Oh.
You've been giving free gifts, but I don't.
That's MTN Rewards, sir. Talk, text, browse, and more, and you get to redeem free call time or data by simply dialing *550#. And on Fridays, you can even get extra special rewards like food vouchers, shopping discounts, and much more.
Didn't tell me anything, no. Would you like to know how I got the name Jolly J?
That won't be necessary, Mr. Jolly. Calling customer care service doesn't give you points.
I'm gonna call my mom. I'll call my grandma. And I'll call my ex. That girl can talk, Papa. Hello, Mama. So what's the topic for today?
MTN. anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath.
I'm a fat missy way.
The patcho bantama.
Matias.
It's her smile.
The fresh breath.
Me Jidi say we use Cal 360 toothpaste. Some kind.
Cal 360 toothpaste.
That's here. Cal 360 toothpaste. It's a gum protector.
Onim jom kasan. Ile kosen. Cal 360 did the way. It's cool mint. Gives me fresh breath and your confidence booster.
You will see feeling kika when you know Cal 360 toothpaste. Happy smile.
Cal 360 toothpaste, anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath. Cal, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
In today's modern world, stairs are a challenge, especially for our elderly and those with health concerns. Navigating them can be difficult and even dangerous, but there's a safer way to move vertically. Lifts and Elevators Limited Company, your answer to a more accessible and secure vertical transportation. Our elevators and escalators, including top-of-the-line pneumatic vacuum elevators, Fuji elevators and escalators, offer a safer and more convenient alternative, eliminating the risks of stairs and enhancing accessibility for homes, businesses, and hospitals. Choose safety and convenience with Lifts and Elevators Limited Company. Elevate your spaces today. For more information, visit our website at www.elevatorsgh.org or call now on 0200-535-515. Lifts and Elevators Limited Company, the elevator people.
Customer, I don't know who to say.
Malaria been actually me man no still.
One of them give us.
Give us a solid.
Yeah, sorry. What rest of so give us here and don't down.
But you good so. But tomato give us the and don't down.
Give us about me, sir.
Me patron and don't down.
Customer. Give us a tonto now. Pa.
Onuya kayo oba wa fa furo nom de o ma no banu fo nom akwada wa ni mfie dumie no ono nso nom.
Rise and shine, it's another day to stay on point. Toast is Friday, it's still on point. Watch is Friday all day long. Still on point, yes, it's still on point. It's still on point. Watch is Friday, it's still on point. For your bread,
it's creamy.
For your toast, it's still on point. It's yummy, delicious. It's still on point. Still on point, yes, it's still on point. It's still on point. Still on point, yes, it's still on point. It's still on point. For your toast, it's still on point. It's still on point. Fortune spread, it's yummy, delicious. It's still on point.
Fortune spread, delicious, creamy, and always on point. This advert is FDA approved.
Hey, Walambo!
Hey, Walambo!
Hey, I asked him to buy me original Polita.
Hey, please don't make mistake. Talk to Papa. Open your back, come on. And you Polita no gala. You Papa.
Papa, can ruffle.
The Polita is original, the first and the best.
What is? Ukota also for dear acrobat to use it.
Polita, yes.
Bet, blast, boom! Exclusively on Betway. Win up to 300% more when you play FlyX with Win Boost from Betway. Betway, get way more.
Mother Papa is working.
Bar Herbal Hospital. Specialists in every kind of bone disease.
Bar Herbal Hospital. Baby, a son of a Anso, yare simi sapa dumpemu yare.
Spinal cord, swelling of the arms, arthritis, bone injury, swelling of the leg with reddish color around it, and so on. See, Bar Herbal Hospital has special ultra-modern machine for checking up the body. I have tried them and I got good results. Try Bar Herbal Hospital.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana Live on Metro TV. With me on the show this morning, I have Kwesi Pratt Jr., who's the managing editor of the Inside newspaper. Kwesi, good morning. Good morning. Also with me on the show this morning is a government spokesperson who's also a member of the Bawumia 2024 campaign team, Eric Amwaku Chum. Eric, good morning.
Good morning, Randy.
Right. Kwesi, Monday was 1st of July, you know. How did you spend it? You know, I'm still in my withdrawal syndrome mode. You know, to get up and know that the 1st of July is not a holiday. Still.
Yeah, I mean, you wake up with a feeling that it's a holiday. Then you realize that it's not a holiday. And then there's a flash, and you begin to wonder why. I mean, it's really incredible that any government will seek to downgrade the 1st of July, especially a government which pretends to be interested in who the founder of Ghana is and who really struggled for national independence. Because it's obvious that 1st of July is actually the culmination of our victory over colonialism. Understand? The victory over colonialism came in 3 phases. The first phase, obviously, was in 1951, when Nkrumah became the leader of government business. And then in on March 6, 1957, when we achieved partial independence. And our full independence was really achieved on the 1st of July, 1960, when Ghana became a republic. And somehow, strangely, this government has come to the conclusion that the 1st of July is not important. It's been really baffling, you know, exceedingly baffling. But of course, it does appear that there may be some reasons, very bad reasons, why government has decided that the 1st of July ought to be downgraded. And perhaps the most important reason is that if you take the 1st of July 1960, there cannot be any doubt that the main architect of the Republican status was Kwame Nkrumah as leader of the Convention People's Party. There's no doubt at all that he was the main architect. So if you're moving on the trajectory that you didn't contribute as much as others to Ghana's independence, you would try by all means to avoid the 1st of July in order to be able to denigrate his efforts at national independence and so on. So that may be the reason. Bad as it is, it may be the reason. Of course, the other reason simply has to do with the fact that you have a government in power which traces its antecedents to personalities and institutions which openly did not favor the achievement of independence on 6 March 1957. Of course, the historical record shows the delegation which went to England to plead with the British not to hand over, the reins of government to the Ghanaian people at that time, because we had not sufficiently learned the ways of the British, and that it was important to delay, the achievement of independence. There were those who at that time insisted that we should still have the effigy of the Queen of England on our currency, rather than to have our own president's effigy on the currency and so on. So all of these things play, into the equation. And whilst we cannot be surprised at the institutions and personalities who are engaged clearly in this shenanigans, we would be surprised and have to be surprised at the fact that national independence is being downplayed, in this era of our history.
So I'll get to you, Eric, pretty shortly. But if you're out there looking for a toothpaste that will take care of the entire family and save you some money, the recommended family toothpaste is KEL 360 toothpaste. This is approved by the Food and Drugs Authority. KEL 360 toothpaste provides you and your family with all-round dental protection throughout the day with freshness. KEL 360 toothpaste is good for kids, children, and adults. Let your family be a proud family when they step out by constantly using KEL 360 toothpaste. KEL 360 toothpaste brightens your teeth, prevents cavity, and with its cool mint, gives you a fresh breath throughout the day and protects the gum from decaying. For consistency and quality, use KEL 360 toothpaste. It's another product from Samara Company Limited, producers of Sasso. It's available in all supermarkets, malls, and provision shops. Call Samara Company on 0246 864798. KEL 360 toothpaste, happy smile. And enjoying the fruits of your labor is as important as enjoying the mansions of your labor. The pains of climbing the stairs when not exercising could be challenging irrespective of your age. But worry no more. Lifts and elevators have got you covered with the best portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators on the market today. It's a simple self-supported elevator for both homes and offices, and guess what? It can lift your goods too. Wheelchairs can fit in, and they come in 3 custom-made models. It's affordable and can be installed within 3 days. Visit Lifts and Elevators at Sakumon or just call them on 0200 535 or send a mail to elevatorsgh@gmail.com for consultations and the best solutions in easy vertical movements. And the Institute of Paralegal Training and Leadership Studies, in collaboration with the Ghana National Association of ADR Practitioners and ADR International Register and ISO certified body, is offering internationally recognized industry-driven conflict resolution and other specialized courses. These are a Professional Executive Master in Alternative Dispute Resolution, Professional Executive Masters in General Paralegal Studies, Professional Executive Master in Chieftaincy Law and Sustainable Development Practice, Professional Executive Master in Industrial and Labor Relations and Practice, Professional Executive Master in Family Law and Conflict Resolution. And they have an exceptional team of facilitators who are well versed in their subject areas and are ready to equip participants with the skills they need to influence industry in the right direction. Individuals trained in ADR by them qualify for admission into the prestigious membership of the Ghana National Association of ADR Practitioners. For admissions, you can call the Institute of Paralegal Studies on 0303 960 798, or you can WhatsApp them on 0509 634 027, or send a mail to ipls.edu.gh@gmail.com. So Eric, if our kids or anybody were to ask, 7th of January is a holiday, and that is the advent of the Fourth Republic. How come the First Republic, yes, so the Fourth Republic is the most enduring republic. Mm-hmm. How come the First Republic, that rarely gave you total political independence, is off the table? How do we explain that?
Randy,
and what would we have? And what would we have lost if, for example, in believing that 7th January was such a big deal because it's the most enduring democracy and ought to be elevated, we had left the 1st of July, which also recognizes the fact that this is when we had our total political independence.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity once again. Good morning, Uncle Chrissy. And Randy, good morning to you as well. And of course to the viewers this morning. I think that we all grew up with the fact that on the 1st of July, it's a public holiday. So if you're a kid and you're in school, that becomes one of those things that you essentially looking forward to. But then I also took my time to look at the number of holidays that we have that basically does, if you like, the exact same thing, or even more. So we have the 6th of March, which, like Ankwesi said, is significant in terms of the independence of this country and the fact that it's celebrated every year without, I'm not sure that we would ever get to a point where the 6th of March will not be celebrated in this country. And that's a national holiday. Then one of the things that he tried to talk about is the fact that it's almost like an attempt by a certain group of people to denigrate the legacy of certain persons, i.e. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who is the first president of this country. But then I also realized that we're still celebrating Nkrumah's birthday, which is the 21st of September, every year. And it's actually also a national holiday. Then we have the 4th of August, which is also a Founders Day that has, if you like, Nkrumah also as a very prominent, if you like, a key protagonist in the whole struggle for this country, and is also celebrated on that particular day. Now, you just mentioned the 7th of January, which for me has become very significant because at least every 4 years, on the 7th of January, we usher in a new executive to basically run the affairs of this country, and that's also celebrated. So that at least on a day that a president is being sworn in or that inauguration is being held, it becomes a holiday for all Ghanaians or people who live within the jurisdiction to also be able to savor the occasion. I don't think that the 1st of July in itself has been taken off completely. I think that when you read the Act, the Amendment Act, together with the AU Day, which was also used to be a holiday, has become more commemorative. And the significant conversation here is that almost every time that there's a public holiday, you also have a certain group of people explaining the rationale behind having so many public holidays within this country. And so for me, I think that maybe the focus should be on when it gets to the 1st of July, when it comes to commemorating this particular day, which of course it's going to be significant in the way we govern our country and how our country has actually come. We would have a conversation as to how we'll be able to remember this particular day and how significant it is for us going forward in terms of our development as a country. And so for me, I would focus more on what we do to commemorate that particular day. In terms of the ideological conversations and differences and what pertain at that time, I'm sure if we start this conversation, we will not finish, because there are always people who would have divergent views, and there will also be schools of thought. The last time we were speaking on that subject, I was talking about when you're doing O-level history, and you pick up an Edubois book, and you pick up an F.K. Boa book, and there's a certain account that was supposed to have been the same, you realize that there are different perspectives in terms of how these things are being reported. So for me, I believe that we've come a long way as a people. If we definitely have to go back into history to look at the mistakes that we've made, we should be able to do so. But this is 2024. I think that it's about time that we moved on from some of these things. And it's not in relation to a particular group of people, but I think that anytime these conversations come up, it basically opens a lot of old wounds and people become very sensitive and emotional and all of that. But these are decisions that are taken. And for example, you have a constitution that gives the president the mandate to be able to do some of these things. So for me, I feel that we have to move on. But if you ask the question, what can we do for our children to be able to understand the significance of the 1st of July? By all means, let's make sure that it is not lost on all of us. And it still remains a very important day and date in the history of this country. And I think that we can move on, to be honest with you.
All right, thank you.
There are two important issues which need to be settled. Okay. And for me, the first important issue is the issue which my brother here has raised about the apparent waste of so many holidays. Okay. The answer to that is very simple. Holidays should not mean that you should sleep and go to the beach and get drowned. You can use holidays for productive purposes, and there are many examples around the world. One example which comes to mind immediately is how the Cuban people were mobilized on holidays to harvest sugarcane, which is productive. So I agree with you to the extent that it is not just the declaration of a holiday which is important, it is how the holiday is celebrated and whether the holidays really contribute to our effort at nation building and so on. So you can have 500 holidays in a year. If you celebrate them productively, if the celebration is geared towards, accelerating the pace of national development and so on, then you cannot be talking about the wastefulness of holidays. So that is clear. Now, the other thing for me is this fixation with the so-called second, third, and fourth republics.
Yeah, he said that a few times.
I mean, it's a useless fixation. Because Ghana attained Republican status only once. That was on 1st July 1960. And that status has not changed. The Ghana status as a republic, which was gained in 1960, 1st July, has never changed. So what is this fixation with Second Republic and Third Republic and Fourth Republic? Again, if you look very closely, it's the attempt to devalue the Republican status which was attained in 1960. It's just to say that republic did not last. It lasted. It's lasted until today.
Let me pick your mind on something.
Yes, sir.
To the extent that when these republics are interrupted via military or coup d'etats, constitution. So let's say we are the first Republican constitution. That constitution is overthrown. The government is overthrown. Then when the military decides to return us to democratic rule, then you have a process of drafting a new constitution, which is not the restoration of the earlier constitution. Is that not what gives credence to Second Republic, Third Republic, Fourth Republic?
That's lazy thinking, you understand? Because even under military rule, we still remain a republic.
Yes.
Even under military rule, we still remain a republic.
As the Republic of Ghana.
Exactly. So the Republican status is not affected by coup d'etats. And even when the constitution is, as it were, suspended and so on, the Republican status remains intact. Because the new military regime proclamations,
yes,
which recognizes Ghana as a republic. You understand?
We don't reverse to bring in the Queen back as ceremonial president.
Well, as head of state.
Yes, we don't do that.
Yeah, we don't do that. So we remain a republic. So we have been a republic since 1960. And no military intervention has changed that status. And I think we ought to understand that. Again, for those who are complaining that we have too many holidays and so on, if you take the 7th of January, which is now a public holiday, I can understand it to the extent that the 7th of January is the day we hand over. There are all kinds of activities and ceremonies to mark that. So it does make sense. A lot of people would not go to work. It does make sense. The 7th of January, a holiday. But why would you have 4 holidays in 4 years when the event is only 1 day in 4 years? So why can't we have a system which says that the 7th of January, after every election, is a holiday? So you say 3 holidays, and it is possible to do that, you understand? So I'm completely baffled by these new arrangements. And I really wish that one day sometime in the future, we would have a government which would recognize the 1st of July and insist that the 1st of July should be celebrated for what it is worth. And I also really wish that one day in the future, we will have a government which will restore African Liberation Day. As African Liberation Day is such an important...
You mean the AU Day?
That's what they call it now.
Yes.
But I still insist that it's the African Liberation Day. Okay. Now, one, because the national liberation struggle is not over in Africa yet. You still have the case of the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, which is under colonial occupation. Okay. You still have the case of the Chagos Islands, which are still under colonial occupation. And if you add the diaspora, then you still have West Papua, which is also under colonial occupation. So we cannot be pretending that the national liberation struggle in Africa is over. Again, if you go back to history and you look at the definition of national liberation, which was provided by the final resolution of the Pan-African Congress in Manchester in 1945, the national liberation struggle is not over, because the national liberation struggle had different components. And of course, the first component was the right of the African people to choose their own path of development, and also the right of the African people to elect their own leaders who did not exist under colonialism. Okay, so that's an important component. Even that, I'm not so sure that we have achieved that now. The second component being the right of the African people to own their own resources and to exploit these resources for their own benefit, which we haven't achieved now. So the national liberation struggle has not come to an end. And I'm really surprised, that current African governments are playing down the African Liberation Day, watering it down significantly and so on. And it does appear.
Don't you think that the issue, especially what you just raised, and even, to an extent, that of the Republic Day, have become issues because, Eric hinted that they've not been scrapped completely. Yes, 1st July is no longer a holiday, but it's a commemorative day. Same as 25th of May. It's supposed to be a commemorative day. That's what the memorandum said, and that's what it's supposed to be. But the key issue for me, and this is why I raised this issue with you, is that if we say a commemorative day, what do we do on those days to ensure that indeed we recognize those days and we are commemorating those days? Because 1st July just passed. So for a country that says that it is now a commemorative day, on that day, what did the Republic of Ghana do? Same as the May 25 that you're talking about. If we even say that we have too many holidays, it will not be a holiday, but it's a commemorative day. There's a reason why we said that it's a commemorative day, which presupposes that we appreciate the fact that that day represents something and ought to be commemorated. However, we don't want that to be a public holiday. But what we do to advance that thing is what is critical. So the point again is that on those commemorative days, what have we done? And what did we do just last Monday? Because on May 25, we can do a lot of things which will bring to the fore all the issues that you have raised without necessarily making the day a holiday. But it appears like, well, maybe we just put a commemorative day there just to create the impression that, look, yeah, we appreciate that it represents something. But then when it comes to actually doing something, it's zero.
Randy, to some extent, I would agree with you. To some extent, you're absolutely right. And I think both Eric and I have made that point. That the most important thing is what you do on the day. If it's a public holiday and you don't want it to be wasteful, you can actually plan activities which would ensure that the day is not wasted. Clean up activities, focus on national agriculture, focus on education and so on, so that the day is not wasted. So even commemorative days, we can plan activities, we can do things which emphasizes the importance that we attach to that day. But there's no doubt, and there cannot be any doubt, that reducing July 1st from a public holiday to a commemorative day is a downgrade. It's a downgrade.
And you believe that was deliberate?
Oh, of course. I mean, why would government, spend time drafting legislation, putting it before government and so on, if it's not deliberate? It was deliberate. And I get worried because it was part of the package which sought to de-emphasize the role of Kwame Nkrumah in the achievement of national independence. And it's not just about the role of an individual in the achievement of national independence. It's also about the objectives, the principles, the ideals, which guided the struggle for national independence and which guided the struggle for the attainment of Republican status. 2 days ago, a book was launched at the International Conference Center, a book which was authored by Dr. E.G. Don Atta. I don't know if you've heard about the book. It's a historical book. I've read the book. And Eric, frankly, I think it's one of the best history books ever authored about Ghana. I mean, in the past, I'd rated, Basil Davidson's book, The Black Star of Africa, as the best historical account. But I've read Dr. Don Atta's book, which was launched only 2 days ago, and I think, in all honesty, that it is the best historical record. Now, why do I think so? This book makes copious references to documents, authentic documents, quotations of those involved in colonial administrations and so on. It's a 500-page book. The index is classic, and so on. And I've learned a lot. Now, Randy, there is something in that book, the very early part of the book, I think it's page 6 or so of the book, as part of the introduction. One of the quotations which the book brings forward is a quotation from the Lord Frederick Lugard. And I'm sure all of you will remember the Lord Frederick Lugard, because earlier historians had credited him with being the person who propounded the theory of indirect rule and became the principal administrator of the principle of indirect rule and so on. Of course, that account is not true, because if you look at history very closely, the idea of indirect rule came from the girlfriend of the Lord Frederick Lugard. It was an idea that his girlfriend, who happened to be a journalist, actually put forward, and so on. Even naming of Nigeria was a product of his girlfriend's work. The girlfriend was a journalist and so on. But that's not the point. The point is the quotation which was published in this book. And in that quotation, Lord Lugard says that, look, after some time, these Africans, and he refers to us as Negroes, which is very offensive, okay? But then he says that these Africans would rise up against us. They would drive us out of their land. But we have to take measures to ensure that even after independence, we control these Negroes and make these Negroes believe that of all white people in the world, the British people, British white men, are their natural allies. Direct quotation. So, what was the independence project from the British point of view? The independence project from the British point of view, according to Lord Lugard, was to hand over to their agents, their collaborators, and the chiefs. Okay. So Nkrumah completely upset that plan of the British and brought the masses of the people into the forefront of the struggle. And no doubt that on February 24, 1966, the British intelligence services, in collaboration with the US intelligence services, decided to overthrow the Nkrumah government to return us to what you may call the status quo ante. Okay? So the 1966 coup was just to return us to the status quo ante, to the status quo which they, the British, wanted for their agents, their collaborators, and their chiefs to be in the center of the governing machine, of Ghana and so on. It's clear. Now, I want to believe that some things have happened since February 24, 1966, which affirm the implementation of this strategy. I cannot understand for one moment why our foremost international airport is still named after Kotoka. I cannot. Especially as some of the prominent coup plotters have come to denounce the coup. I had the privilege of interviewing Mr. A.K. Deku, who was an architect of the coup, a few weeks before he died. And that interview is available, in which Commissioner of Police A.K. Deku declares that as far as he's concerned, the best leader Ghana has had is Kwame Nkrumah. I then asked him, if Kwame Nkrumah was the best leader that we have had since independence, why did you participate in overthrowing him? And his answer was that, look, the conspiracy had been hatched in such a way that if he decided not to go along, he would have been killed, and that the coup would have occurred anyway. It's A.K. Deku. It's A.K. Deku who took part in the coup. So after all of these confessions by persons who were involved in the plot and so on, why do we still insist on remaining on this path of recklessness which devalues our history? I cannot understand. Okay. I simply cannot understand. And if you like, I'll send you a copy of the interview. You can play it on your network. As a matter of fact, I did the interview for TV3.
I watched it.
Oh, you watched it? Yes,
I watched
it. Yes.
Right. Okay.
No, I was just trying to comment on even the commemoration of the holidays and what we do with it. For example, in most other parts of the world, they have what they call the bank holidays, right? So the day itself will still be commemorated, but for purposes of the celebrations and what it does, even for people to travel back to their families and all of that, the day is set aside. It's usually a Monday after that particular holiday, and then they actually give those Mondays as holidays so that people would have longer weekends to go and do all sorts of other social events and all of that. So even when people talk about productivity and, the essence of giving out some of these holidays, I think that these are some of the things that we can probably also learn from. So that usually what tends to happen is that, for example, you have a holiday in the middle of the week on a Wednesday, and a Thursday people have to go back to work or, stuff like that. I think that there are things that we can actually take a note of and then use.
All right. Let's get on to your party and your candidate. So last week we heard of a meeting, a Zoom meeting between Alhaji Bawumia and President Akufo-Addo. And we're told that was when the Vice President communicated his choice to the President. And that then paved the way for all media houses to then publish that Napo gets the nod, he is the man. Subsequent to that, we've seen a notice indicating that tomorrow there will be a National Council meeting, a NEC Council
the National Council
meeting tomorrow, and obviously the agenda is to deal with that. In the last few days, we've also seen photographs and stories apparently giving us the impression that indeed there's a move to either reconcile or mend fences. So we've seen one with Alhaji Bawumia, Napo, Wontumi, and others. We've also seen a story that says that the parliamentary caucus has met the flag bearer. They support his choice. We've also seen one headline today talk about Oseche Mensah Bonsu. Obviously, he's part of caucus, but they say that Oseche Mensah Bonsu. And I'm sure he had to do with that interview granted and said that doctor doesn't need any arrogant and hot-headed person. So we've seen that story today. So it looks like there is that thing going on and all that. You are from that camp. A few days on, what's the feeling like in your camp?
He's not from that camp. He's actually a member of the campaign.
Yeah, so that's what I mean by he's from the camp.
I thought we were devaluing his position. It's a very important.
I'm sorry. Apologies.
Very, very important.
Apologies, sir. I'm sorry. Please pardon me. Please pardon me.
Well, I mean, I think that, like you rightly chronicled, there's a process that any flag bearer would have to go through per even our constitution. Some of it are constitutional, some of it are what you call by convention, where you would have to do your consultations and then get the buy-in of certain key personalities and, if you like, organized groups. Then you go to the constitutional aspect of it. And so, for example, you mentioned the president, you mentioned the majority caucus in parliament, but there are also a stream of other people and even organized groups that you probably haven't mentioned that would have to be consulted as well. Now, constitutionally, you have to go to NEC, and then NEC would also, once NEC agrees, you now go to the National Council, which is basically the body clothed with the power to actually accept or not of the choice that you have made. And I'm sure that these processes have been respected, it's been adhered to. But you know, we are in a political enterprise, so sometimes some of these conversations and these meetings will definitely come to the public domain. But for a political party that prides itself in making sure that we stick to the constitution that we are governed by, the processes has to be respected, and you have to basically make sure that you go through all these processes before you can do a formal announcement of a running mate. But from where I sit, by and large, the choice that the flag bearer has made has been widely accepted by the rank and file of the party. And these key, if you like, protagonists and organized groups within the party. And so for us, we're just waiting for tomorrow to come for the NEC meeting and also the National Council meeting. I'm sure that you're very close to where the action would actually happen. Mm-hmm. So you would definitely get the official announcement, and then we will proceed from there.
What went into the choice of Dr. Opoku Prempeh?
That question would have to go to the flag bearer. But if you want me to...
He hasn't briefed you guys.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That, I mean, there's a lot of things that would be considered. But apart from all the things in terms of competence, in terms of a right fit and all of that, a vice president's role has to be one that has to go to somebody that you can trust, somebody that you have a relationship with, somebody that understands your language. When I say your language, not necessarily what we speak, but how you relate to people, your vision, and is able to complement who you are as a president. So every president is as good as, if you like, the vice president that they have. And I'm sure that that is some of the reasons and the considerations that have gone into the nomination. But you know, I think that we also have to be very clear in our minds that the process, of course, sometimes will be very, if you like, tensed. Because in our party, I'm sure that if you want to find 200, 300, 400, 500 people who would be running mates, you can find them. But the reality is that the decision is a sole preserve of that of the flag bearer. And once the decision is made, then everybody has to rally behind that particular decision. And then we'll go out there and prosecute a campaign. And I believe that if we're talking about the attributes of the nominee, you realize that, I mean, when it comes to public service, when it comes to competence, when it comes to his own charisma and relationship with the people, is there, and then we can be able to make references to that. So for me, if you ask me, we're very excited. We are happy that gradually the process is coming to a certain conclusion, because sometimes some of these little asides, if you want to put it that way, sometimes distracts from the clear vision that we should be having and the focus on going out there, telling our side of the story, and prosecuting a campaign for 2024.
Right. Rosie?
Well, the first comment I'd like to make is that at a certain point in Napo's political career, he used to sit on Good Morning Ghana like you are sitting. He used to be my partner in the early morning debates and so on. And his elevation to the position of vice presidential candidate perhaps spells hope for people like Eric, that it is just possible that at some future date, people like you would also emerge as very prominent leaders of your party. And to that extent, I cannot be sad that Napo has been chosen. But you see, Randy, I'm learning for the first time that the meeting at which His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was informed of the choice was by Zoom. Wow.
Yeah, he was out of the country.
And he could not be briefed before he left the country. He could not be briefed after his return. It had to be by Zoom.
Maybe that was the formal meeting.
Yeah, but then there must be compelling reasons why such an important meeting is conducted by Zoom. You understand? And I don't know why, but I'd like to find out a lot more detail about how such an important meeting of informing His Excellency the President about Dr. Bawumia's choice was done by Zoom. That's one. Now, I've been told, and Eric, please correct me if I'm wrong, that the Bawumia campaign did not release a statement about this meeting, did not put this information in the public domain.
Yes.
I'm also aware of the fact that the Jubilee House, the Flagstaff House, did not issue a statement on this matter. And yet, I mean, the following day or two, this matter was on all the front pages. And in fact, many of the reports in the different newspapers were identical. So it does suggest to me that somebody deliberately put out this information. Now, what was the motive? Whoever put out this information, did he have the authority of the presidential candidate's campaign? Did he have the authority of the president himself? And so on. But you see, Randy, I read those reports very carefully. And I suspect that there was some mischief involved in that report. Even Daily Graphic, reported that when the president was informed, he spoke his mind. And that is repeated in many of the reports, that the president spoke his mind and eventually accepted the nomination. Unless my English teacher was so horrible. So, from this reading of what was put out, it does appear that there was some hesitation on the part of the president. He didn't readily accept the nomination. He spoke his mind and eventually came to accept the nomination. That is the language which is used in the report. And it makes me a bit, queasy. What really happened? When the president spoke his mind, what did he speak to? And how did he eventually, the operative word there is eventually, how did he eventually come to accept the nomination? Now, be that as it may, we were also told that all the major stakeholders had been consulted at the time that the announcement was made. Okay. That is also being contested now. And I've read the statement made by the Honorable, what is his name? Apia Kubi. You understand? I've read the statement he made. I've actually listened to him directly and so on. And one of the things he says is that the parliamentary caucus had not been consulted at the time the announcement was made.
But there was no announcement was made.
An announcement was made.
By who?
You would know. Why
no announcement was made. There were news reportage.
Who put that in
but
the
that
news?
we can't. But I mean, Brad is here. He's like a renowned media person. These things get out. You know what I'm saying?
They didn't just get out.
No, but what I mean is that
Eric,
it wasn't. There was no official announcement from anybody.
But there was an announcement.
By who?
You should know. I wasn't at that meeting.
Exactly.
I couldn't have known.
Yeah, no, but
it must be somebody who was privy to the
unimpeachable sources.
But you see, for me, the key thing is that at least 3 newspapers use the same words to describe what had happened, which would suggest that there was a syndication.
That's correct.
Which would suggest that there was a syndication. Now, whoever masterminded that syndication must have been privy to the meeting, must have known what happened in the meeting. And whoever released that statement clearly wanted to do some mischief. This line about the president spoke his mind and eventually came to accept the nomination, it's not very positive, is it? It shows that the president had misgivings about the candidate. Okay, so whoever did that had a motive. Whoever did that was subversive of the process. Whoever did that aimed at angering people like Honorable Andy Apia Kubi, whose main point was that there could not have been wide consultations when the parliamentary caucus had not been consulted. And then he goes on to make another very interesting point. He says, look, he's a parliamentary candidate, and he cannot see how the vice presidential candidate nominated can come to his constituency and lift his hand.
Why?
He's the one who would know, Randy. The suggestion is that there is some very bad blood between him and the presidential candidate. And indeed, he also gave the impression that he was not just speaking for himself, but he was speaking for other parliamentary candidates. Now, that is interesting, given the fact that Napo himself is a member of the majority caucus in parliament. So if the indication is that there are some members of the majority caucus who are so unhappy with him what did he do to them? How did he so unruffle them as to make them come out and publicly denounce his selection? That's a matter that you and I may not know. Okay? We may not know, never know. So, now, there are also some things which are exceedingly worrying. I mean, yesterday, we saw photographs of the candidate, His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Napo himself, and my good friend Wuntumi. And the story is that the president, the presidential candidate, has solved their differences and brought them together. What is happening here? First and foremost, one of the reasons why supporters of Napo have been most strident in pushing him forward is their claim, which I don't support anyway, that Napo comes from the Ashanti region, is an Ashanti royal, and is likely to mobilize Ashanti behind the presidential candidature of His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Now, from what Andy Appiah-Kubi is saying, it does give the impression that Ashanti is not united behind him. From the picture and story which was carried by most newspapers yesterday about the presidential candidate patching differences between the regional chairperson, not an ordinary person, and Napo. So how then can we sustain the assumption that is the candidate to rally Ashanti behind the presidential candidate? I don't know. Okay. Now, there are other statements which are also worthy of note, and one which Randy just referred to. And I think that's most important. Statements about the general, how do I say it? I'm lost for words. I wish you could help me, But about his candor, about his public relations, and so on.
You mean Napo?
Of course. Okay. I mean, statements. I mean, if you listen to Che Mensah Bonsu's comments about the presidential candidate having to choose somebody whose words are weighted before they are uttered and so on, it does create a certain impression. Okay.
What he said was that the presidential candidate does not need an arrogant and hot-headed person.
Yeah, exactly what I'm trying to say. And I was lost for words, for appropriate words. So Randy, thank you very much for helping me out, But then, that's an issue. Because look, we have 5 months to an election. And one statement from a running mate can completely wreck the campaign. Just one statement can completely wreck the campaign. Now, since news of this apparent nomination came up, I've seen what is being done on social media, and I have a very strong suspicion that what is being done on social media is mainly instigated or done by NDC propagandists. It is still important. What is happening? They've gone back 5-6 years and reproduced videos of the nominee and the things he has said, and they are pasting them all over the place. And some of those videos are worrying. I mean, for example, there's a video of him saying that if government earmarked funds for the construction of the Kitasi Defense Project, he will mobilize Ashantis to go and protest. Wow. That is something out of this world. And there are many other videos. I don't want to repeat all the things which is heard in those videos saying. Of course, there's the most recent one about Doomsaw and so on. So this raises substantial questions. Now, the other issue which Eric raised, and I fully agree with Eric, has to do with how compatible the running mate is with the presidential candidate. And if for nothing at all, we can always refer to the relationship that existed between Mr. Jerry John Rawlings and his vice president, called Nkensen Akar. And that is why the choice, to a very large extent, ought to be the choice of the presidential candidate. He has to decide who he's comfortable with. He has to decide who he's likely to work with in a smooth, administration and so on. Otherwise, you are likely to have some of these things which have happened in the past reoccur. You understand? So that's very important. To that extent, I would insist that to the extent that it is possible, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia should be given some kind of a free hand to choose his running mate. If it doesn't work, it will be upon his own head. If it works, perhaps Ghana will become the beneficiary.
Are you suggesting that this choice is not his choice?
Well, I am speaking very, very carefully. You understand? Because I know that there have been all kinds of influences. I know, for example, that my sister, I think your real cousin, Natoshi, had a lot of support from the women's lobby and also from the clergy, the Christian clergy. And all of them mounted substantial pressure on the vice president. Okay. I also do know of the Minister for Education, who I think is a very nice gentleman. I've had to deal with him on a couple of occasions. I was amazed at his general honesty, admits when there are problems, makes concessions when he has to make, and so on. He was also highly canvassed for. And again, I had the privilege of interviewing him on Talk Time, okay? And I asked him directly if he would accept the position. And from the answer he gave, it was obvious that he would embrace the position, not just with both arms, but also with his legs. I got that impression. There were many others, like the Chief of Staff, and the canvassing for the Chief of Staff actually went beyond a certain limit. I mean, I was really fascinated when I saw the song which had been composed. I was really fascinated by that. What? They composed a song. And in the video, accompanying the song, in the video, her dancing was, wow, excellent. I didn't know she was such a good dancer. I mean, wriggling her waist to the floor and so on. I mean, it was really amazing. And many others. Okay, so the presidential candidate has come under considerable influence. There are many people who try to lobby him and so on. And I want to hope that this decision is his own decision. Again, I think it is important to mention that the New Patriotic Party has a certain tradition, and that the party has been able in the past to resist at least one nomination of a presidential candidate. That I know. Okay. And that even before the matter went to the National Council for approval, pressure has been brought on the presidential candidate to drop the person that he would have wanted to nominate. Okay, so I do know that. The NPP is not a rubber stamp.
Are you referring to the woman nominee?
Yes. Okay. Yes. The NPP has not been a rubber stamp when it comes to these nominees and so on. Right now, the impression I'm getting, and it's only an impression because I don't know enough, the impression I'm getting is that Napo would end up being endorsed. And I get that impression, one, from a conversation that I've had with the national organizer of the party, Nana B, who is so passionately in support of Napo. Very, very passionate. I mean, you can tell that he will do every and anything to make Napo's candidature become a reality. and the passion with which he spoke and so on. And of course, you cannot forget the fact that he has been a backer of His Excellency Dr. Bawumia from the very beginning. He was one of those who backed him very strongly. And his voice must mean something. And his voice is clearly for NAPO, you understand. I've spoken to other members, prominent members of the party, who appear to be keenly supporting NAPO. What worried me was the reasons for supporting NAPO.
The reasons he gave you?
They gave me.
Okay.
They gave me. And the reason is that he's in a fighting mood. He wants to fight. He's dying for a fight and so on. Now, if he takes statements he's made in the past and so on, if he's in a mood, that mood to fight as is being described by party stalwarts and so on, I worry. What is he going to say again? I will really worry about what he's going to say again, you know. But, Randy, as I said from the very beginning, we all of us, we can only wish our friend Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh the best. He's a friend of ours, okay? Even though ultimately the interest of Ghana must be supreme and must guide what we say and so on, you cannot also ignore the relationship that we came to build, you know, together and so on. So we can wish him well. That is not to say that people should go and vote for him, but generally to wish him well in his aspirations to become Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. Perhaps the only thing that I can add is that the national situation is horrible. And all those seeking power must be minded by the state of the nation, because the tax ahead will be huge. The tax ahead will be humongous. The tax ahead is not easy at all. And those clamoring to be presidential candidates and running mates and so on ought to keep that at the back of their heads.
Randy, just a couple of quick points. So the first thing is about being a member of a political party. You know the kind of people that make up a political party, people from divergent places with views and opinions and all sort of experiences. And so it can never be that you'll be a member of a political party and you will not rub off people the wrong way at a certain point in time, or people won't even have a certain, if like, dislike, or would even express some kind of disquiet. In this enterprise as well, you also know the fact that people just have preferences. People have people that they know. There are people that you went to school with. There are people that go to the same church as you go to the same mosque that you go to. There are people that have family relationships. So sometimes, for me, I mean, my orientation really is that you will never, ever be able to make a choice that will be overwhelmingly or be unanimously approved by everybody. But in the spirit of how a political party is run, once a decision is made, a decision has been made, and everybody who is a bona fide member of that particular political party has to abide by those decisions. You understand what I'm saying? So you could choose anybody. You could choose anybody, and there'll still be people who would have some reservations about that particular choice. But my little experience even in this game is that there are people who, for example, oppose the nomination of the current flag bearer, who are now key members of his campaign. Randy, you understand what I'm saying? And so for me, I look at it from a certain orientation that once these things are done, people would now understand the real reasons why it's been done, and then we'll rally behind the flag bearer's choice, and then we'll move on and prosecute a campaign.
Okay.
There's just one more issue, and I think that issue came to a head yesterday when there were rumors of the resignation of Mr. Dan Botwe as chairman of the campaign team. Now, I'm surprised that as of today, that has not been confirmed or denied. Is there some truth in it? Because if there is some truth in it, that would be a danger signal.
But Eric is here, let's ask him.
Yeah, but that's why I'm raising the issue.
And so let him answer before we proceed.
No, but let me lay the grounds.
Okay.
You know.
I thought you would be better off hearing his answer.
Oh, okay. I agree with you, Randy.
Because he said it's not been confirmed or denied.
Yes.
So please, can you confirm or deny it for us?
There's no resignation. I mean, you see, I think that sometimes
what I
there
read,
may be,
Eric, what I read was that he has not attended any of the meetings, and that there was even a meeting recently. He didn't attend that as well, and that he's not too happy with how the campaign is being run. He's been talked to at least attend Thursday's meeting and to come back and be part of the process. Can you confirm or deny this first?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
But all I can say
But I'll be surprised if anybody has reached him. Because yesterday I had the distinguished privilege of being on the same program with Nana Akumia, who happens to be his deputy.
Yeah, he's a vice chair.
Yes, and one of his deputies.
Yes, there are two vice chairs.
And Nana Akumia actually indicated on air that over the last 3 days he's been trying to reach him and he's not responding to his calls.
He confirmed that on
He said that.
on Bami's show.
Yes, he said that yesterday. They've been trying to reach him for 3 days and cannot reach him. But then when the phone rings, the ringtone he gets appears to suggest that he's out of the country.
Okay.
That's what he said yesterday. I'm not.
But did he confirm or deny the issue about Mr. Botwe not being happy and not attending the meetings?
No, he didn't know. He had no information that he had resigned. Indeed, he said that he'll be very surprised if the rumor turns out to be true.
Okay.
Right. So, I mean, I think that's it.
All right. Okay.
Oh, is that all you are going to say?
I said he defers to Nana Akumia's position.
We can move on.
So you can move on now.
Well, what I wanted to say was that if you guys lose Dan Botwe, you have lost a valuable asset. You understand? If it's true that Dan Botwe is unhappy, if it's true that he has resigned or is considering resignation, then you have a lot of work to do. Because one of the very few people you have in the campaign whose credibility is intact and who has demonstrated over the years that he's honest. He talks very frankly and so on. And in the MPP circles, he's also known as an astute organizer. Please don't lose him for your own sake.
All right. Okay. Well, it's time to take a break before we lose some money.
She's coming. She's coming!
Oh, it's in. Red out receipt now!
Boss, let's go back.
Here, take this.
She's
go to
coming.
I know. Go to the pharmacy now.
She's coming! Oh.
Pay faster, pay safer, and pay easy with Momo app. Download now and pay with the QR code, merchant ID, and so much more.
Rise and shine, it's another day to stay on point. Toast is Friday, it's still on point. Watch is Friday all day long. Still on point, yes, it's still on point. It's still on point. Watch is Friday, it's still on point. For your bread,
it's creamy.
For your toast, it's still on point. It's yummy, delicious, it's still on point. Still on point.
bread. Delicious, creamy, and always on point. This advert is FDA approved.
Anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath.
I'm a fat missy way.
The Pacho Bantama.
Matias.
Her smile,
The fresh breath.
Me Gidi say we use Kel 360 toothpaste. Say me kind.
Cal 360 toothpaste.
Gaskia, Kel 360 toothpaste. It's a gum protector.
Onim Jom Kasan Kasan Kasan. Kile Hossein. Kel 360 did the way. It's cool mint. Gives me fresh breath and your confidence booster.
And you will see so feeling kika when you know Kel 360 toothpaste.
Happy
Kel 360 toothpaste, anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath. Kel, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
In today's modern world, stairs are a challenge, especially for our elderly and those with health concerns. Navigating them can be difficult and even dangerous, but there's a safer way to move vertically. Lifts and Elevators Limited Company, your answer to a more accessible and secure vertical transportation. Our elevators and escalators, including top-of-the-line pneumatic vacuum elevators, Fuji elevators and escalators, offer a safer and more convenient alternative, eliminating the risks of stairs and enhancing accessibility for homes, businesses, and hospitals. Choose safety and convenience with Lifts and Elevators Limited Company. Elevate your spaces today. For more information, visit our website at www.elevatorsgh.org or call now on 0200-535-515. Lifts and Elevators Limited Company, the elevator people.
Blast. Boom! Exclusively on Betway. Win up to 300% more when you play FlyX with Win Boost from Betway. Betway, get way more.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Still with me on the show, of Kwesi Pratt Jr. and Eric Amwakuchum. Ayesuko, the Kosombo Dam be big, but Betway's cash out be bigger. Betway is giving you more control of every thrilling bet you place. Enjoy the biggest and most reliable cash out in Ghana on Betway without any hassle. Sign up today at betway.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply. It's not for persons under 18 and is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Betway, get way more. And Blue Jeans Energy Drink has been on the Ghanaian market for over 20 years. We already know what it does for the body. It contains vitamins and nutrients like vitamin B2, B3, B6, B12, as well as taurine and guarana, which are known to boost your strength and energy as well as promote high performance and endurance. Blue Jeans Energy Drink has been tested and tried. It's indeed the best. Blue Jeans Energy Drink is for bold and active men and women. So go on, grab a cold can and power your day. It's in shops nationwide. You can reach Budget Cash and Carry Limited on 0208-128190 or 055-001-0000. Okay. Now, the issues of, I'd wanted to play you two videos. One has to do with the majority leader on the free SHS bill and the response by the minority leader, because the majority leader spoke and granted interviews and created the impression that the NDC minority was not in support of a bill on free SHS. The minority leader responded, and that's where we found out that indeed there was even nothing before Parliament for anybody to even support or not support. Subsequent to that, we have seen a news item that suggests that this free SHS bill was going to cabinet, and that indeed it was not just about legislating free SHS, but it also had to do with changing the structure to make it a six-year program. So JHS and SHS put together and all that. That's what we have been told. We're here to see the documents. But educationist Professor Stephen Adem has voiced concerns over the practical implementation of the government's flagship free SHS program rather than its legislative backing. The former GIMPA rector expressed confusion over government's decision to seek legislation now after 7 years of practice. He noted, quote, "What they've done for the past several years has not been illegal. It's been by government policy and is acceptable." And his comment follows Education Minister Dr. Yaduchum's announcement that the Free SHS Bill 2024 will be presented to Cabinet for debate this week. And the proposed bill, aims to give legal backing to free and compulsory senior high school education, along with several other changes to the education system, including the restructuring of junior high school and the cancellation of BECE as a prerequisite for SHS admission. Dr. Yaduchum added that another proposal of the bill was the cancellation of the BECE. Rather, it will be used for school selection purposes. When passed, the certification for completing SHS will become the first level of formal certificate any student could obtain in the country, rather than the BECE certification. The Education Minister further stated, "What we need is a law that says there should be free compulsory universal secondary education. This means the minimum education for the Ghanaians should be a senior high school and not junior high school. It's our responsibility to provide the support for them." Despite these proposed changes, Professor Adair remains skeptical. He argues that the policy is sound, but the focus should be on refining its implementation rather than legislating it. There must be a reason why they want to bring in a law now. He said, questioning the necessity of the proposed legislation, and he suggests that the Education Ministry should consult with experts, stakeholders, and ordinary Ghanaians to improve the policy. "I've been in public service all my life until retirement, and this is a very weird way of doing policy." He added, emphasizing the need for practical solutions over legal formalities. Okay. All right. So, Kwesi, he raises a key issue. He says that the Education Ministry should consult with experts, stakeholders, and ordinary Ghanaians to improve the policy. I've heard other people also raise the issue that why go to cabinet for cabinet approval? You know, initially the impression that was created was that it was just to legislate a free SHS. Because of that, if there's a change in government, it will be discontinued. So let's legislate it to prevent any the future government from stopping it and all that. But what the Education Minister has disclosed to us now, it's not about that. It is about completely changing the structure of Ghana's education. And as Prof raises, we have not seen any stakeholder consultation. This is education. And what we are being told is that it is going to cabinet for a debate and a decision. I don't know what you make of what's going on.
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, the most scathing criticism of this free SHS program has come from somebody that I respect a lot, who himself is an academic, who himself is involved in education, and who himself is a lawyer of huge repute. And that is Professor Akil Akpasua. And I'm sure that both of you have seen his comments on the free SHS program. Indeed, Professor Akil Akpasua has said that the conception of the program and its implementation is, to quote his words, unintelligent. That's what Professor Akil Akpasua says, unintelligent. Now, he says that he's a Marxist and therefore has a certain commitment to compulsory free basic education. He has that commitment, But that in implementing it, you've got to find out how that would impact on all sectors of the national life. You don't just put money in free SHS and so on. You need to determine ab initio the impact of policy on other areas of the national life and so on. And then he raised a question which is most important, Randy. He says, look, me, being Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, I'm a lawyer and so on. I can afford to pay the school fees of my children. How does it feel if you exempt people like me from paying school fees when in the rural areas, in the remote corners of this country, there are children who have no access to electricity, who are schooling under trees, who can't even have decks and so on, to write on. Okay. Now, the second person who has spoken so very eloquently, I don't normally admire him all the time, but on this issue, I think he's been quite eloquent, is Professor Adai. And his comments have been stated by Randy, so I need not repeat them. He's also spoken. Now, there's a third person, and that third person is most interesting. The current Vice President, who is also the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, had made the comment that you don't need legislature to implement the SHS program. That's most instructive. Dr. Bawumia says that you don't need legislature to be able to implement the SHS program. And in fact, that is in sync with what Professor Adai is saying. Okay. Now, are we now being told that for 7 years, the NPP administration illegally implemented the free SHS program? Was there a legal bar? Was there a legal restriction? There was none. So I'm so surprised that this legislation, we are making so much noise about this legislation. Unless we admit, or unless we say that over the last 7 years, it has been illegally implemented. If it has been legally implemented, why the rush? Then, Randy, there's an issue about the hierarchy of laws. Okay? The hierarchy of laws. And there's no doubt whatsoever that if you come to consider the hierarchy of laws, the 1992 Constitution is the supreme law of Ghana. Now, if the 1992 Constitution insists that we must make education free, how can you entrench anything about free education by going for, lesser laws and so on? Your laws passed in Parliament must be consistent with the 1992 Constitution before they can have any validity. Okay. So you have the Constitution itself making provisions for free education and so on. Why the need to go to Parliament for inferior legislation, and so on? I don't know. Now, there's something very interesting, and it is what I've noticed, that this whole move is more propagandist than administrative or legal. It's more propagandist. And I've come to this conclusion based on the statements which were made by the majority leader, Honorable Afenyo Makin. When Afenyo Makin actually came out and said that the minority, the so-called minority, was opposed to the bill, when the bill had not even been drafted, when even cabinet had not received the bill. And how do you oppose something which doesn't exist? That's a problem. Now, from the snippets we are getting, it does appear that the bill which has gone to cabinet for discussion and approval is going to make...
Which is on its way to cabinet, we are told. It's not landed there yet.
How long does it take to move from Minister of Education to Jubilee House? Well, let's say it's on its way.
It depends on who's carrying it.
Maybe a snail.
Yeah.
Maybe it's on the back of a snail, But whatever it is, that bill, from the snipers we are getting, is making substantial changes, massive substantial changes to senior high schools as they exist
In
today.
fact, the entire education sector.
Yeah.
But you know, you refer to the Constitution,
Yeah.
dealing with hierarchy of laws and all that. Okay. So I was even going to raise a small issue.
Yeah.
And you see, when you look at the Constitution speaks about basic education, speaks about secondary education, and speaks about tertiary education. Now you realize that basic education, which is F3, is where the Constitution actually gives a timeline, 15 years.
Yeah.
From the promulgation of the Constitution.
Yeah.
Which presupposes that by 2007, we should have free compulsory basic education. Now, when it comes to secondary and tertiary, it doesn't give a timeline. Unlike basic where it says...
Talks about progressively.
Yes, unlike basic where it says 15 years. So initially, my suspicion initially was that maybe whoever is thinking of a legislation is looking at perhaps putting that thing there, that specific timeline there or something to that effect. So that was just it. Which means that the issue of secondary and tertiary, there are no timelines for those ones. But when you speak about hierarchy of laws, then you would realize that the Constitution itself now has education in 3 segments. So what it describes as basic education, secondary education, and tertiary education. What this bill, from what the minister has told us, what this bill seeks to do is to now change that structure. And so when they say secondary education, what it means is that a 3-year of JHS, which is known as basic or part of basic education, is going to be added to secondary education. So you have a complete overhaul of what the structure is.
That is true. But you see, Randy, not the NPP, I mean, some of the communicators of the NPP, or better still, the propagandists of the NPP, have been on this binge for a long time.
Which one?
Claiming that review of SHS, or free SHS, amounts to abandoning it. You understand? They've been running with it over a long period of time. It is not clear from what we are hearing about what has gone to cabinet that there's a major review underway by the Akufo-Addo government itself.
But even before what hasn't gone there, in the IMF document.
But I was coming to that. Okay. So the NPP itself is carrying out a major review of the free SHS policy. Now, if you look at the agreement they have reached with the IMF, which is being touted by all kinds of propagandists and so on, that agreement itself acknowledges the need for review. So how come that they've come to the conclusion that review means abandonment and so on? Well, where is that coming from? When they themselves have committed to review, when they are engaged in a process of review. And another very important point is that these reviews are taking place without stakeholder consultations. No stakeholder consultations at all. Okay? The teachers' organizations, where are they in this review, this massive review that is being carried out by this government? Look, I think that education is a key pillar of the national
I'm
development
extremely
effort.
surprised because even the increase of the SHS from 3 years to 4 years, we saw the stakeholder engagements before the legislative stuff and all that, the documentation and all those things. We saw it. I would be surprised that we intend to have such far-reaching, structural changes in our education. And our recourse is to go to cabinet for a debate.
You rush it to parliament. It's
I
very
find
weird.
it extremely strange.
Yeah. Strange is a kind word. It's weird. Extremely weird. You understand? Weird. But, I mean, for me, education is one of the key pillars of the national development effort anywhere in the world. And I think it is a crime to reduce it to a propaganda tool. It's a crime to reduce discussions on education to pranks intended to win votes in an election. I think it's clearly unacceptable. And you want to play Chaskele with our education? Our education is reduced to just some tool of making some contestants in the election unpopular. And so on. Is that the purpose? I'm worried, that this appears to be the attitude. Why? I would have thought that if we want a sustainable free SHS program, in putting forward reforms and so on, we would engage all stakeholders. And my definition of all stakeholders would include political parties in the opposition. Because as for this legislation, Masa, you can pass the legislation today. Tomorrow morning, if there's another government, they can throw the legislation away. Easy. So passing the legislation is not a guarantee for the continuation of the free
the most
SHS
important thing is
program.
the buy-in. No, I will be, Kwesi, I'll be extremely surprised because I do not know of any major, educational move that has not, been done on the basis of stakeholder engagements. Yes, not everybody will agree to what you want to do, but that's how it's done. Especially when you want to change the structure. The first time in recent days in the Fourth Republic, this thing has come up in the manifesto of some parties. The issue of making SHS the termination point. And so people, I've heard the CPP, I've heard Dr. Indrom in the past. I think that in the NPP's 2016 manifesto, if I stand to be corrected, there was also something like that, and all these things have been canvassed. The person who made really a lot of noise about this in the Fourth Republic was Dr. Indrom, about making SHS the termination point and not doing BC and all those things.
Actually, he came with that policy from the Convention People's Party. He had been flag bearer of the Convention People's Party.
So that's where
the Convention People's Party was the first political party to advocate free education.
Okay.
So Indom came from the Convention People's Party with that. Yeah. But interestingly, Dr. Indom's party was the first political party which actually did a costing of the program and came out with its implications on other sectors of the national life and so on. Nobody did a very thorough job. Nobody, not even the NPP, which eventually came to implement it, did that thorough job.
Eric, let me hear you.
So I feel that sometimes when it comes to this kind of discussions, we should sort of eschew intellectual arrogance. There are people who are the Ministry of Education, who are GES, who are part of the whole educational setup, who are also today implementing these policies, right? Mm-hmm. And so sometimes to hear things like unintelligent and all of those things, for me, should not be the way to have a discourse of this nature in terms of a national, of these national proportions. You can disagree. Like any policy, you can always have disagreement. You can even be disagreeing based on a certain ideological standpoint.
What's your problem with?
I have a problem with that because, you see, if you're not careful, you would go back into these conversations and then you would actually trivialize this conversation. At the moment, as we speak, we have a system where, let's assume that a child goes into JSS at 10, 11, 12. By the time they finish JSS, they're like 14 years old or something like that. You leave JSS with what? A JSS certificate. And at 14, you don't even qualify to even gain any meaningful employment. in today's day, you can't do anything with a JSS certificate apart from being able to use it as a placement, a means to placement to go to an SHS. And so at the time that this thing was being implemented and our kids were truncating JSS at 13, 14, and 15, was that an intelligent policy? You see, so sometimes...
What are you responding
to? I'm responding to the various...
No, but you're wrong.
No, I'm not wrong. I'm just...
let me tell you why you're wrong.
I'm not mentioning anybody's...
No, but let me tell you why you're wrong.
When it comes to policy implementation...
No, just hold on. Let me tell you why you're wrong. Kwesi referred to Professor Akyil Akpasoya.
But I haven't referred to him.
No, hold on. Yeah. We can't pretend on this show.
Kwesi
referred to Professor Akyil Akpasoya and referred to what Professor Akyil Akpasoya referred to as unintelligent. And he was specific that when it comes to the implementation of the free SHS, there are people who can pay. What he said was that if you don't do a mean testing, you don't engage in mean testing, and you do this wholesale general thing, it is unintelligent. That's what he said.
Okay.
He didn't talk about an issue of policy to change this or change that.
No, but
he was clear.
Randy, I have sat here on several occasions and said that people who have called for means testing are actually, they are well within their right to do so, because it happens in other jurisdictions. Even the media past finance minister, yes, who was actually a key component.
He said it didn't make sense.
Yes,
it was senseless
in terms of the management of this process. Also preferred.
He said it was senseless. If he can afford to pay for 5 people, why should it be free?
A divergent view, right? A lot of arguments have been pushed and presented in terms of why it makes sense. You see, in all of these conversations, it's also about the people who are impacted a lot more. You know, there are people who were truncating their education at a point where they just couldn't even fathom an idea of going through secondary school. Because once you leave JSS, or even in times past, it used to be called a middle school leaving certificate or common entrance, the first thing that the family will say that go and learn a trade or go and find something else to do because they do not have any means to do so. Then you have families that can actually afford to pay, but all that is left is absolutely nothing because they have absolutely nothing left. They are actually using all their resources and whatever to pay for their kids to go to school. And so for me, I think that, yes, we can come back and have these conversations about means testing and all of this. I don't have a problem with that. In the general conversation around education, whereby the position is that, how do you allow a child who is 13, 14 to truncate the education at a certain point? Let's extend, or let's redefine what the basic education means so that at least, if for nothing at all, that child is leaving school with an SHS certificate, and they'll be able to do other things. They are more matured, they've gone through because we went to a system where you were in secondary school for 7 years, from Form 1 to Upper 6. You understand what I'm saying? And so for me, I think that it's probably nothing that is extraordinary. It's not an original idea. It's about, like you said, even if there's a conversation about consultations and stakeholder consultations and everything, there are all sort of like practical things that need to be done.
Aware?
But
are you aware?
You know
Let me just ask you this question. Are you aware that despite the fact that F-cube is law, and that from 2007, per the constitutional provision, F-cube has become law. So we have free compulsory basic education, at least from 2007 till date. And that the termination point is JHS 3. Are you aware that there are many students for who termination is class 6?
Yes.
And it's as a result, not because there is no law. The current law terminates, the first termination point is JHS 3. But by virtue of the fact that there are many schools that do not have JHSs,
yes.
They have only class 1 to class 6.
Yes.
So many of these students, and if you read the reports from EduWatch and others, you will see it. Many of these kids, when they finish the class 6, they have to go miles to be able to access even GSS 1.
Yeah.
So for them, although there's a law that says that the first termination point is JHS 3, they are unable to terminate there.
No, but Randy, I agree with you. And I think that, I mean, one of the things that we are doing is that we are trying to probably, if we like, christen this proposed bill or this intention of a new bill as a free SHS bill. Right? But the reality is that it's not supposed to be, it's not.
No, but who's doing
be,
that?
No, but that's what I'm saying. That. No, but
yeah,
I'm saying that.
What you're complaining about?
What I'm saying is that it is not a free SHS bill. It is a redefinition of a basic education. I don't know what is going to be called, what is going to be defined as. But so again, this platform.
Your majority leader, does he know what you're saying?
Oh, no, but I don't speak for the majority leader. We are just speaking.
It just seems to me that you are saying something totally different from what the majority leader is pushing.
No. But that's what I'm saying, that he can choose to call it whatever he wants to call it. But in terms of what actually is inside of that particular bill and how it seeks to, one, redefine basic education and at least make sure that, like I indicated, that if you can have a child that goes to JSS at 10 and by 13 they're done with school, what are they going to be doing with their lives? Right? If you don't have a system that actually makes sure that that child still stays within the school system to be able to get to a point where they have enough education to be able to now decide whatever it is that they want to do with their lives. Right? So these are things that, and then in the redefinition of that, having secondary schools attached to this JSS school, so that a child is in school from 1 to from 6 or whatever it is, or use the BEC as a basis for school selection alone, but not a point of truncation. These are conversations that we can have. My challenge, and I'm a proponent of consultation, my challenge with consultations, and even sometimes for people who call for these consultations, is that people are asking for a consultation, and they're already coming with an entrenched view or an intransigent position on the matter. You cannot consult with somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? So, whilst even this thing that we are doing...
Why can't you?
No, because if the person is already coming from with a certain position,
yeah, but
all that I'm going to do is to inform you. You know what I'm saying? Of my position.
Well,
exactly.
Everybody who comes to the table has a position.
Yes.
However, many people...
I use the word entrenched.
Yeah, many people... Okay,
yeah,
many people...
like
people could even have entrenched positions on the basis of what they believe, what they know, what they understand. But in the face of superior viewpoints or compelling reasons, they adjust. In every negotiation, people go with set, especially when it's even institutional representation, they go with set positions. Now it's up to you to let people see reason. It's up to you to critique all viewpoints there. And to find a way of, like I said, you won't get 100%. You shouldn't even be looking for 100% acceptance by everybody.
Consensus, yes.
But at least for you who sit in your office and all that and believe that, first of all, you see, the arrogance when it comes to policy formulation and implementation starts off with those who believe that they have the authority and power. They start off from the belief that I am empowered by ABCD. That's where the issue of entrenched positions and others will come from. Because otherwise, if you are even a Ghanaian citizen, now let me not be even say a player in the education side, a Ghanaian citizen, and you hear that government is thinking of some serious structural changes to our education, and you don't hear any consultative process with respect to all key stakeholders in the sector, and that what you hear is that, the thing is coming to Parliament for the MPs to take a decision on it, or one side does not want to support it. And the next thing here is that the minister says, oh no, we are sending it to cabinet for a discussion, and then from cabinet it will come to Parliament. How would you take it?
But you see, Randy, I think that we're also missing a point. The whole essence of Parliament and in what it stands for, represents, is because all 33 million of us cannot go and sit in the chamber and make a decision. And even for the processes that these bills go through, requires that the the parliamentary committees and that are responsible for promulgating this actually are supposed to now bring in these stakeholder groups and whoever is interested in this particular bill before it actually
But you
comes
have
to the
worked,
floor.
no, you have worked in the executive before.
Yeah.
You know that before you, let's, for example, GEPA, before you decide to propose any legislation and even submit it to cabinet through your sector minister, you would have engaged all the players in your sector and have taken their inputs and everything. That is how your LI or whatever it is will be enriched.
Exactly.
Before you give it to your sector ministry for onward transmission to cabinet.
I agree.
Not so.
I agree.
So you do not say that I have not done that. But because when the thing gets to parliament, the parliamentarians parliament will advertise for people to bring in memoranda, or the committee will have the opportunity of inviting people. And so it is okay.
No, I'm not.
That's not how stakeholder engagements work, especially even in the education sector.
I'm saying that, you see, for example, as we speak, right, I think that there's also a lot of speculation here. It can never be the case that no stakeholder engagement has happened. You can also advocate for a lot more engagement, because maybe as we even leave this particular platform, somebody also comes out, I am an expert in A, B, C, and during the process, I was consulted, or people, they wanted to pick my brain on these things. These things sometimes also happen in the background. That does not
come... Are you saying that?
I'm just saying.
If we were having stakeholder engagements on changing the structure of education and all that, we won't know.
No, but Randy, this is not the first time we are talking about this redefinition of the basic education. This has been, like you say, Kwesi even mentioned, it's a conversation that's gone on even way before we even started this period, right? And that it's actually even in the constitution and all of those things, right? You understand what I'm saying? So for me, I think that it's not. I mean, of course, I don't advise the ministry that does it, but I think that anybody that calls for more consultation has every right to do so. And if there's room for us to do so, by all means, let's go.
The Honorable Deputy Minister of Education.
Yeah. Which one?
Reverend Tim Fojo. He has sent a text.
Yeah.
I want to read it.
Read it.
Okay. In fact, he intends for me to read it. So I'm reading it. It says, good morning. If dismantling barriers to access to quality education for the child of the poor is considered unintelligent by members of the elite, who are able to afford the most expensive education for their wards. If doubling enrollment in TVET/SHS from 800,000 to 1.45 million students is considered unintelligent, then I wonder what intelligent policy looks like. I'm presently in my remote village, Asin Kruwa, where I visited some of the 3,200 BECE candidates preparing for their BECE next week, and reflected upon the several thousands of such students who during my time at Asin Kruwa JHS some 3 decades ago abandoned their brilliant dreams at JHS because there was no financial means to enter SHS/TVET. I was the only person from my village that year who could narrowly escape the fangs of poverty to enter Asin Manso SHS. Never again must we go back to the era where millions of brilliant young people were denied the chance to form part of the critical mass of the population empowered through education for meaningful national development. Good morning to my intelligent uncle, Mr. Pratt, and my intelligent friends, Dr. Randy and Eric Chum. God's blessings, Reverend Ntim Fojo, Deputy Minister for Education from Asin Kruwa.
I think this is the most unfortunate text, exceedingly unfortunate text. And the arrogance of this text is baffling. You know, when it comes to education and the educational rights of the people of Ghana, Reverend Ntim Fojo has the audacity to compare himself to Professor Akila Kpasoa, who for more than 60 years has been in the forefront of advocacy for educational rights, who became the youngest vice chancellor of the University of Ghana, and whose record at the university perhaps is unparalleled, and so on. Now you are talking about education, and you are running down comments of people like Akil Akpasoya and so on.
But I hope you are not suggesting that Professor Akil Akpasoya cannot get it wrong.
He can get it wrong. Yes. No, everybody can get it wrong. But you see, in evaluating his comments, you ought to look at his background. It's important.
No, for me, I think we're even missing the point.
Please allow me.
Yes.
And he hasn't said any of the things which is attributed to him by Reverend Itim Ford, your Deputy Minister of Education. He is not opposed to free education. He endorses free education. But he's saying that it does not make sense to give free education to the most wealthy and affluent in a society, where the poorest are denied free education. That makes a lot of sense.
I mean, why is taxation even progressive?
Exactly. But Randy, I think we should address ourselves to the provisions of the Constitution. Okay, the fundamental law of the land. This is Article 25, and the title is Educational Rights. And it says 1. All persons shall have the right to equal educational opportunities and facilities, and with a view to achieving the full realization of that right. A. Basic education shall be free, compulsory, and available to all. This is what the Constitution says.
Yes.
Basic education shall be free,
mandatory,
compulsory, and available to all. Is basic education?
Yes, it is.
Now?
Yes.
How?
That's F cube.
Masa, Randy.
Yeah, F cube, up to GHS 3.
You haven't been seeing the videos of educational institutions from the villages and so on.
Oh yeah, we have serious challenges.
It doesn't satisfy this.
Yeah, that's what I know I'm saying.
It doesn't satisfy this.
Yeah, true.
B. Secondary education in its different forms, including technical and vocational education, shall be made generally available and accessible to all by every appropriate means, and in particular by the progressive introduction of free education. C. Higher education shall be made equally accessible to all on the basis of capacity by every appropriate means, and in particular by progressive introduction of free education. D. Functional literacy shall be encouraged or intensified as far as is possible. And E. The development of a system of schools with adequate facilities at all levels shall be actively pursued. This is what the Constitution says. Clear. The Constitution is very, very clear. And in fact, in the light of these provisions, why would anybody need another legislation to guarantee the continuation of free SHS? Why would anybody need another legislation?
Anyway, okay. I guess that we'll have to perhaps leave it here. We're 20 minutes past our time. So we'll have to. So tomorrow's council meeting is at what time? 10 a.m.
Yes, it's at Lisa.
Yeah. Oh, here. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So we'll wait. We'll see.
Thank you.
Of course, there's nothing. We don't expect anything.
You're not expecting anything dramatic.
Nothing. I'm sure that the meeting should be over in 6 minutes.
You sure?
What else is going to be discussed? It should be over. It should be over in 6 minutes. Maybe it's the item 13 that will delay. But apart from that, everything should be fine. Okay. All right. So, is that bright? Oh, okay. Okay. So we're going to have trends. Okay. Today is the 70th birthday of a big brother of mine. Yeah. Kwesi, I don't know if you know him. Niafutu. He's 70 today. Yes. You know him?
And he's been very interested in this program.
Niafutu is 70 today. He's a proper Liverpool fan. Top notch Liverpool fan, traveling all around the world to watch Liverpool. You know Niafutu. Yeah. So he's 70 today.
We meet somewhere.
Okay.
Are we meeting there today?
Ask him.
I don't know. I'll ask him.
Ask him. You know, he has a ritual. At the end of the season, he will host the last game of the season at his residence for the Liverpool supporters. So Niafutu is 70 today. So happy 70th birthday to you, Niafutu. And we can wish you the very best, especially in the areas of health. And we also
and let's meet there today.
Are praying for a lot more laurels for Liverpool to keep you excited and happy. You want to meet him?
Are you not urging him to make sure that we meet there today? Wherever there is.
Niafutu is a showman. You probably will have a party, you never know. Or you want to be converted to Liverpool?
No, the day he spoke about, the day Eric spoke about.
Okay. Eric knows where to find him.
I know where to find him.
You go and play golf with him.
Yes.
Okay. He's a golfer too. He loves golf. Anyway, so up next, GMG Trends.
Again.
Hello, thank you for calling MTN.
This is Jerry, Jolly J for short.
How may I help?
I'm not happy with you guys at all. You've been giving Bongo gifts all the time.
Who is Bongo?
Oh, Bongo, my friend. He purchased in my room.
Oh.
You've been giving free gifts, but I don't.
That's MTN Rewards, Talk, text, browse, and more, and you get to redeem free call time or data by simply dialing *550#. And on Fridays, you can even get extra special rewards like food vouchers, shopping discounts, and much more.
Didn't tell me anything. Would you like to know how I got the name Jolly J?
That won't be necessary, Mr. Jolly. Calling customer care service doesn't give you points.
I'm gonna call my mom. I'll call my grandma. I'll call my ex. That girl can talk, Papa. Hello, Mama. So what's the topic for today?
MTN.
Rise and shine. It's another day to stay on point. Toast is Friday, it's still on point. Watch is Friday all day long. Still on point, yes, it's still on point. It's still on point. Watch is Friday, it's still on point. For your bread,
it's creamy.
For your toast, it's still on point. It's yummy, delicious. It's still on point. Still on point. Yes, it's still on point. It's still on point. Still on point. Yes, it's still on point. It's still on point. For your toast, it's still on point. It's still on point. Fortune spread. It's yummy, delicious. It's still on point.
Fortune spread, delicious, creamy, and always on point. This advert is FDA approved.
Ama, nansi mi general well-being enkoye kwao. Ama maye bohu se kontomra akija.
Nansi me hu se me nyo basima kura. Ama me kunu ni me into kwankwa. Oyiwa. Enye mo ko. Give us GC mixture and the capsules. Aye num boom. En ho asem na mo kana. E boa emma ene meme nyina. Ne ma wo ba ye obesima. Na be ma so aye be masima. Ya, we be boa wuku. Ama ne jane nsa wo de hye ne botum. Na wanyinya na nim tisese ne oyi chokwa. Give us GC mixture and then a capsule. Achesa.
A pin for a batter, one more menu for one and Quada when you feel to me.
Right, it's time to check out what is trending on social media. On quite a dull Wednesday morning with Bright, who will try and see if he can brighten our morning.
Good morning, dog.
Mr. Exclusive.
It's not calm. It's not a calm Wednesday morning, no, dog.
Really?
It's not.
Why?
People are lying to us.
Huh?
People are lying.
Oh, but
they are lying.
As for that one there, from the day Satan dropped from heaven, we are lied to every day.
But this one is serious. So remember we had series of thorns in the country, from Singathorn to Kugathorn to all that. Now, this Chef Smith, who claimed to have cooked over 800 hours, you know, we're happy, hailing him and waiting for a result. And this man just came on last night, organized a press conference, and claimed he had an awarded certificate by the record, Guinness Book of Records. Now look at the video. So this is a video of him at the press conference with media houses there. Media, not bloggers, so media houses were called and they went there. Apparently it's a lie.
What is a lie?
He has not been certified by Guinness Book of Records. Yes, it's a lie. I'm still.
Hold on. So all of you, the media people, you went to cover the
Metro team wasn't there. We didn't go.
It still doesn't excuse anybody.
Yeah, I mean.
So you all went there.
Yes.
And you all had your smartphones. With Mr. Google on your phone.
Yes.
And you didn't even bother to check.
Can you imagine? And that's where the conversation is coming from. And this one.
What is he holding? See. You're using your smartphones to take pictures.
Yes.
And nothing struck you to check.
It wasn't me. No, it wasn't me. I think it's a video before one of the media houses, and it's just.
So you are saying that all this was.
Yes,
it was fake.
Yeah, fake.
It was a lie.
I'm just wondering how he pulled this off.
It's simple. They say now in this country, everybody is working with the format.
He was arrested last night.
How
do you do this?
Huh?
How do you do this?
How do you do what?
What he's done? Organize a press conference.
Did Mr. UN not do it to all of you? No, but how do you even think that's if the facts as narrated by you are true? Why would anybody think that you can get away with this? How is it possible?
Yes.
You know, back in the day when we started, there was no Mr. Google for you to, easily check some of these things.
Right.
But today, right at the function, somebody could check. Exactly. Somebody could send a mail to the Guinness World Records, a mail.
Yeah, to verify.
Yeah, to verify. People can go and ask, what's the name now? Meta, AI.
Yeah. It's even on WhatsApp. Even WhatsApp has it now. Yes. There's a Meta on WhatsApp that actually gives you all the information.
So why would anybody think that? See. What's that?
So this was, Chef Smith does not hold Kugathorn record. That's after the confirmation came.
After the fact.
You know, we have to let them know. That's why we didn't go.
So you want to tell me that as for Metro there.
You fact check.
You fact checked it.
Exactly.
So that's why you didn't go.
Exactly.
You were not invited.
Oh. Because they knew we would fact check. You know, so they knew
if you had been invited, you would have been fighting with the drivers to take you there.
Oh no. They knew we would fact check. You know, and I'm just
but seriously, if these facts, as you put out, are correct, why will anybody think that you can get away with this? How is that possible?
It's just too much.
How is that possible?
You know, and you know, the
and who are the people with him?
I think
somebody's in white applauding.
His team.
And who is the lady too?
He actually was part of he was supporting him.
And there's somebody in the
white
jacket or something.
His supporters.
Oh, the media presence was huge.
See me, if I tell them the media house that were there, you shocked though. The media house there, you shocked though. They went. See the cameras. Big kind of camera. Big camera there.
All of them went.
All of them were there.
This one is July Fool.
I know the interesting part of all this. So yesterday,
he should have held the event on the 1st of April.
Yes. No, but that would have been easier for us to, I mean...
July Fool, pa.
Oh. You know, news also came out yesterday that Sarkodie was performing at the opening games of the Olympics in Paris. Which was a lie, actually.
But
we had media houses also reporting
but
it.
But Sarkodie didn't say it.
No, but he didn't say it. But then when the news broke, media houses reported it without even knowing whether it's true or not.
They didn't check.
They also didn't check.
Breaking news.
Yes. And Sarkodie, DJ Mensah to later come out and explain it. Said,
breaking news. So that's what people do. They were breaking news, you know. Breaking news.
So yesterday, it was too much yesterday. I mean, too big.
So now you can't even tell the difference between
the fake and because usually we used to say the bloggers were giving us the false information, but now mainstream media houses are also.
Are many of you not even worse than bloggers?
Yeah, I mean, after this, I can't even argue with you.
Look, I want to see the media presence again. Show me.
You want to see it?
Yeah,
please show him again.
Don't show them. Show the media.
It will come. You see them. The cameras are big cameras too. Very big. The big cameras. Yeah, they were there. Yeah.
I see.
But how do you print this?
You see the lady who went closer, she wants to have a close shot. Munkafra,
oh my goodness.
Munkafra, media do.
This is just too much.
Charlie, this guy be hard guy.
Yeah. I saw you be
hard guy.
I saw you be it's just too much.
And the ladies were his deputy chef.
Yes, deputy chef.
Okay. He's cooked all of you.
Now we are at whether the food he cooked on the day was even tasted good.
And did you have major media houses reporting?
Oh, you can see one logo on the night on the 10. A lot of the media houses were there, doctor.
Okay. It's okay.
Plenty of the media houses.
It's okay.
It's okay. Okay.
It's okay.
Okay, then it's okay.
Okay.
Then it's okay. Now, let's talk about Mohamed Kudus. So I saw a tweet from Fabrizio, one of the gentleman who actually has who has more details about footballers and their transfers and all that. He says the clause in Kudus' contract has expired.
Yes, the 85 million.
He's free to go anywhere.
Who said that?
He's not free to go anywhere.
No. If that is true, what it means is that you can't trigger the clause. You know, when there's a get out clause, let's use this one as an example, the 85 million. Okay. What it means is that if his club wants more than that, they want more than that. You, the club intending to buy the player, you can trigger the 85 million. So you put a check of 85 million down. And by the law, they are obliged to release the player. That's if the player wants to go.
Oh, okay.
So what it means is so what teams do is that when they buy a player, that they can put that clause, a release clause.
Right.
In the past, we use a get out clause, a release clause. So the release clause means that if we don't want him to go, and you don't reach an agreement with us, if you are able to pay that money, we are under obligation to release the player.
But now that that said amount of money,
yes. So there's no release clause. So in this case, even if they say they want 100 million for him, and they say you don't have the 100 million, there's no clause for you to trigger.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Right. That's interesting.
So you see that the teams, when they buy players, especially players who are promising or they spend a lot, they put a release clause because next year some other team can come and the player will say that I want to go.
But would you want to see him leave West Ham?
That's his decision. For me, it is not about leaving; it's about where he's going to.
Okay, because you're hearing that there's an amount of money that's been quoted on him in those Saudi Arabia countries.
It's his decision, but I won't advise him to go there now. I think he has a lot to offer in mainstream Europe for a few years before he considers that. That's just my personal opinion. But at the end of the day, I mean, he takes a lot of decisions. And for what a lot of people do not know, Kudus is really, really involved in all the decision making as far as his deals are concerned. He's key. He's key. He's not that person who sits somewhere for some people to just take the decision for him.
Okay.
Yeah. So people underrate a lot of these players, but look, some of them are at a different level.
At least it's good when you know what is happening. You don't end up and then the blind side of everything. Yes, Doc. So
it doesn't mean that once the thing has expired, you can pay £1 and take him.
Okay, I'm not good at football, but then
so don't.
Football knowledge is bad.
You could have Googled it.
Oh my goodness! And that's what I read this morning. We are done.
That would be for the morning. Still raining?
Yeah.
Oh. Then the Greater Accra Division 2 Middle League. The first game was supposed to be at 10. I don't know how the rains are going to affect it. But this afternoon, the weather permitting, there's a big game.
A big game?
Big game at Accra Sports Stadium. Newtown Stars versus True Democracy.
Newtown Stars?
Yes. In the Greater Accra Division 2 Middle League.
Okay.
This morning, I think it's Dambot and, why have I forgotten his other team? Dambot and another team, a decider. It should have started at 10 a.m. I don't know if the weather has permitted it to start. But then this afternoon, True Democracy versus Newtown Stars. This game is bigger than a Premier League match.
Interesting.
Trust me.
Interesting.
Trust me.
At
This afternoon,
okay.
The weather permitting, True Democracy versus Newtown Stars is bigger than a Premier League game.
What makes it bigger than a Premier League game?
The two teams.
Okay.
They're good. Their fan base is something else.
What haven't they qualified to the?
So they are playing in the middle league. They started as lower division clubs, but they have such a huge following.
Great.
You know,
Newtown.
Yeah. And it looks like the owners are also investing quite a lot in the. So it's going to be something else this afternoon at Accra Sports Stadium. Greater Accra Division 2 Middle League, True Democracy versus Newtown Stars.
We pray the rain doesn't
mess
it up this afternoon.
Yeah. So if weather permitting, the Dambot game should be on by now.
Right. Right.
Anyway, so up next is Metro Sports.
In your eyes.
Hello, food lovers. Join me every week as we embark on a flavor-filled adventure with special guests from different African countries.
Today, I'm bringing the taste of Egypt to your kitchen.
Without the garlic, we cannot.
No, nobody can eat this.